Welcome guys, I'm Sergeant Drayke. Thanks for taking the time to check this video out. It's basically a showcase of some of the new codec tweaks I've been doing and new codec I'm rendering into as well. On the screen you can choose whether you want to go straight to the crew or the grid Autosport, Far Cry 4, Black Ops 2 or the APB reloaded videos. Otherwise, if you stay on the screen it'll carry on playing and we'll go through each one by one. Each video for each game is roughly 2 minutes. And I'll just basically talk you through the advantages of the codec I'm now using and how it's going to be going forward and the kind of quality I'm going to be bringing you with those particular games. Okay, so let's get this started. We're going to start off with the crew, and in this video you can already see I've got the markers up. You've got dark areas, light areas. Normally the top half of any game is going to be the light areas where you've got sky or you've got lighting in corridors and such. And then the bottom half of the screen is always going to be the darker areas, like if you've taken this racing game for example. We're getting into the night time and it's the tarmac that is the darker colour. The headlights of the car are in front, so it's creating a dark area behind the car. And if you're running at a low bit rate you generally get a lot of pixelation in dark areas. And basically you can look within those markers to see if you can see any pixelation. You might get a little bit here and there. Bearing in mind that recording wise I record all my games in 1080. I try and keep it about 60 frames when I'm recording, but I have a variable frame rate. It can be 60 all the way down to 40. I won't let it drop below 40. I think it looks rubbish. But obviously all the videos I will actually run through and render are always going to be pushed out in 30 frames per second. I'm very rare that I'll actually push out 60 frame videos. I don't really see the need. Fair enough, there's a lot of people out there that want to watch 60 frame videos. Yeah, I'm not really showcasing graphical content within games. I know there's other YouTubers that will basically render videos at high resolutions and as much frames as possible just to showcase what they can push out of a game. That's fair enough, that's up to them. But let's get back to this. Obviously I've taken the markers away from the screen now so you can see what it looks like without the overlay and how nice it looks. It's, I could run it at a lower bit rate if I wanted to, and you start getting a lot of pixelation in the dark areas where you've got like a shadow coming up, for example, within a mountain. As soon as the headlights go, and so it gets darker on the bottom side of the screen. Okay, so with Grid Autosport you can see we've got the markers up again, dark and light areas. And mainly the dark areas with this game are going to be within the cockpit, so behind the steering wheel, in the door cavity and around the roll cage. You can see that obviously we're using a variation of colours in this, and it will be heavily pixelated in any dark areas or shadows of stadiums and such. Running a higher bit rate means you shouldn't get those pixelation in those areas, but that said, depending on whether it's a night race, if you're doing a night race in grid, obviously it's a lot darker, you will get some pixelation. If you're running a higher bit rate, I'm recording this game roughly around 100 kilobits bit rate, then, or shall I say data rate, then that recording itself shouldn't be too pixelated. It's only when you come to rendering again. If you render it like with that kind of data rate, you're going to have a very large file. So reducing the data rate down with this codec, but still getting the compression rate so you've got a smaller upload. I've got to admit I do push in a small amount of colour with all of my renderings, but that's because the software I use will dilute the colour slightly, and it is just a margin. It's just, okay, so it's the basic kind of the 3-tier colours I just pump in very small amount, just to give it that little glow. Okay, so as we come to the end of this grid video, you can see that it's not pixelating too bad for the data rate I'm using. Okay, so now we're going to move on to Far Cry 4, and we are currently in a house. There's a lot of variation of colours, shadows, a lot of dark colours. Again, it could pixelate. As soon as you open the door, pow, going straight into the light areas. Again, you've got the markers up, dark areas, light areas. Shows quite well in this video. The light areas are going to be areas that are up high within the screen, and the dark areas being in the bottom. So you can see there the nice little shock wave going across the floor. Obviously I'm running Far Cry 4 quite high up in the specs with my 980. Again, it's recording 1080 at 60 frames. The frames are variable. I don't really use VSync in a lot of the games. I believe I'm using it in this though. And it's just really again to show you the difference in quality. Again, I'm pumping a small amount of colour in because obviously it's being watered down by the recording software. And so again, the markers will go within a couple of seconds and you'll be able to see the full screen. Okay, there we go. So you didn't get much pixelation in the fireball and the smoke. Okay, so we're going to go over to Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Doing Black Ops 2 really because I don't play any of the other ones, and I play a lot of Black Ops 2. And it's a good contrast to the other videos I've got within this one, purely because Black Ops 2 uses a lot of light colours. And there's very little shadows, dark colours, unless you're playing some of the night maps. The other reason why we're doing Black Ops 2 is on the basis that a lot can happen in a short amount of time within a short amount of frames. So it's good to show how well the codec and the tweaks can keep up within the actual game itself, recording whilst the graphics card is pumping out what you can see on the screen. The other thing to point out is using the overlay on screen. My overlay is generally quite dark, so any dark colours would cause pixelation. Now, yes, there will be a very small amount of pixelation in the overlay that I use, but really the overlay, you don't concentrate on the overlay small enough that it doesn't catch your eye. And the other advantage of my webcam and the lighting is I try not to create any dark areas within the webcam itself. Now, I've got to admit, I'm not going to be using webcam in every video. It's only really multiplayer videos like Black Ops, the odd APB, Team Deathmatch, Balin, or if I'm live streaming, that I'll have the webcam up.
Spot on, mate.
Terrible effort. Regroup and rearm.
Okay, as you can see, I'm getting my arse absolutely kicked, and we are going to be going over to the last one to showcase, which is APB Reloaded. Okay, so APB Reloaded. This is one game I play the most, and this is always the one that I'm trying to push the graphics on and gain the advantages. You can see on the EVGA overlay that APB does not use even near 80 to 90% of the graphics card, which frustrates the hell out of me. It generally typically uses about 50 to 60% of a 980, which is crazy. And I think the most memory usage I've had out of it is 1.3 gig out of the total 4 available on the graphics card. But back to the point of this video, which is codec and bitrate and how it's being recorded. Yes, it's being recorded via the graphics card again. So the graphics card is pushing out the game, what you see, and it's also recording that data and it's saving it into the codec and file. So now you can see that in the bottom left dark area it is very dark, and this is the bit where you would most expect to see pixelization or pixel blurring. And as we move out, you then get the brighter colours of the daytime. Obviously APB runs day and night. Go back into the shadows again. And then obviously you get your muzzle flashes as well from the gun, which create very sharp, bright kind of pixels.
Oh, mate.
And those you can get then like similar basis like screen tearing in game, or you get pixelization when you render, because it's having to render the dark and light areas within the muzzle flash. And again, I'm recording APB 1080. As you can see, the VGA overlay, I try and record around the 60 frames, but again I don't run VSync, so it's not locked. It will vary all the way down to 35, I believe. And then the other thing is online games do affect the frames as well, depending how many people are in that area and what you're loading. Okay guys, so that's the showcase video done. It's really just showing you the quality and the codec I'm going to be using from now on. Producing the videos, some will be 720, some will be in full 1080. But most of them are going to be in 30 frames, not 60. I've already explained in the video. And yes, for those that are going to be, well, you haven't said what like codec you're using, what bit rate, and blah blah blah. That's for me to know, and any partners I'm associated. It's just to show you what I'm going to bring forward to the channel in future. I hope it's been a bit of insight for you. If you've got any questions or you want any assistance and help in the videos you produce, please do ask or comment on below the video. You can always reach me on Facebook and Twitter. And as always, make sure you hit that sub button and make sure you hit the like as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll be catching you soon. Drayke out.